How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom. Today I'm going to do a short video, hopefully a short video, on the differences between these three stains. Now, this is kind of a supplemental video to how I stain my American flag projects. I did a whole video on that, and in that video I describe how I use this product, which is the Minwax, the new formula Minwax semi-transparent stain, and how I use this to stain my American flag projects. So we have blue, true blue, and scarlet in all three of these. So this is the old original formula. This is the new formula semi-transparent, and this is the new formula solid stain. Now, this old formula didn't differentiate between solid and semi-transparent, so I'm assuming it was just the solid stain. This stuff was amazingly easy to apply. I mean, you literally just put it on like paint, let it dry, and you were finished. The new one, when they came out, they split it between a solid stain and a semi-transparent stain. And I think almost all of us probably that were doing this already moved to the semi-transparent, because when we stain these types of projects, we want the burn to show through if you burn the wood, or the grain to show through on these projects. So it just seemed logical to use semi-transparent. But everybody had the same problem. This stuff is extra thick, like it literally says 5 times thicker than the original formula on it, and it is, and it's terrible to apply. It gums up. You have to put it on, you have to take it off. One coat generally doesn't work. I go through all of that in that staining video because this is what I've been using lately. I have just enough of this to do this comparison, and then it's gone, but this is what I've been using. But in that video and after that video, I had not only some of my viewers from the channel here, but also some people that are in some of my groups on social media tell me that you can do a couple of other things. Some of them suggested that you can thin this one down with water and it will apply like that one. We'll try it. And then other people told me that this, which is the solid stain, which this also I guess was a solid stain, applies just like that one, and it'll work just the same, and you can still see through it, even though that says it's solid and this says it's semi-transparent. So we're going to try all three of these. If this really does work as well as that and apply the same way, then I suspect I'll probably be moving forward with this one. Even if this one does work by thinning it out with water, that's kind of a pain to separate it. I'm not going to thin the entire can. I'm going to have to separate it into another container, thin it out with water, and try it. It may work, but for those of you that have this and you want to use this before you move to buying a different can, then and I'll eventually use this too. But the thinning it with water thing might work because it is a water-based stain. So we're going to try it. We're going to compare all three of them, and we're going to figure out which one works best. And that's the one that I'm going to move forward with. And if you're interested in seeing that and what the outcome is, then stick around, because that's what we're going to do. All right, I've got 6 small pieces here, pre-burned, so that we can see the burn or the pattern through the stain, hopefully. And I'm going to use one for each color of each type of stain. Alright, so the first thing I'll do is I will apply the old formula, original old formula. And I don't know if you remember this, but on the last video, if you've seen it, I told you how you can reuse your brushes over and over and over again. And man, I think these have been in these bags for at least 3 or 4 months now. These are the same ones I used last time, and they were already used when I used them then. Now they're getting kind of messy in there, so the gloves, but they're still soft and wet and perfectly usable. Primarily because it's winter here and it's pretty cold outside, but in the summer they don't typically last that long because it's very, very hot here. But it's awesome that you can reuse these things over and over again. So I'm going to apply this the old formula stain the way that I always have, and we're just going to use them as comparisons when we're done, see how they look, and to see which of these other 2 new ones are the better one to use. Not much of that one left. All right, so like I said, you just paint this on, let it dry. I usually do 2 coats. I've always done 2 coats of these, so we'll do 2. Same thing. Nice and soft. Some of you probably wondering what's going on with my hair. I cut about 1 foot of it off. It was really, really long, and I got tired of dealing with it. I can still pull it back, more or less, but kind of getting used to having it down makes me feel like John Wick. All right, so that was the Scarlet. This is the True Blue. And again, we'll double coat those. For now, let's let them dry for a few minutes. In the meantime, I think we will go ahead and apply this, because my intention with this is just to apply it directly the same way that I do that. I don't plan on thinning this down because I've been told that it's not necessary. So here's the True Blue. I'm just going to mix it up. Now, generally, you don't want to do this, especially with a finish like poly or something. But it's not a big deal with this. And it's much easier than having to clean things and stir it up with. So this is the way I do it. All right. Haven't even opened this one yet. Ooh, that's pretty. All right. So, gotta use a new brush for this one. I'm using different brushes for all these, by the way. That's the same one that I've always used with those. These were the ones that I used on the last video for these, and I'll use them with those again, and these are new. And we'll use them with this new one. Oh wow, I can tell you already, this is thin. This is thin, just like that. It's nowhere near as thick as that semi-transparent. I can already see this probably being the one that we're gonna go with, but let's finish our experiment here. I figure some of you might have full cans of that like I do, and want to get rid of it. This stuff's not cheap. They're like 35 bucks for 2 cans. All right, so I put a single coat on there. I'm thinking we might get away with 1 coat on this one. This one may be our winner here. Let's continue. Shake it up. Oh wow, these colors look magnificent. All right, this is the Scarlet. Oh yeah, this stuff is almost exactly the same consistency of the original. I don't know how I overlooked this. Man, that looks great. Great. All right, let's put these over here for now. I got a feeling we're not going to need a second coat of these. Those look really good with a single coat. All right. I got to go off camera to figure out what I'm going to mix these in and how I'm going to do all that. So I'll be back. All right. So what I've done is I've found a couple of empty plastic water bottles. I think one was a soda bottle. But anyway, cut them at the bottom. And we're going to use this to mix everything up in. And then I have a bunch of these extra spoons from Yogurtland, I think. My wife likes to keep them when we go there. That's what you're going to use to mix this up. I got some water here. We're going to see how this works. I don't need a lot of this. haven't really given this much thought, but I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of water in there and mix it up until it feels like it's a similar consistency to these. So I just put in maybe a half of one of those spoons of water in here. To 2 spoons of stain. That seems to have done it. It's pretty thin, maybe even a little thinner than those. Didn't take much water. All right, let's put it on, see what it does. So just so you know, I'm putting this on very thin. Before, when you did this when it was really thick, I would put a lot on there and then let it sit and wipe it off. I don't plan to wipe it off this time. I may have to still, though. It's pretty dark. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing with the red now. Just going to go with the same mixture, 2 of this to like a half a spoon of water. All right, so as you can see here, let me see if I can show you. This is much thinner now. Look at that. Very similar to the original formula and to the new solid stain formula. All right, and now the red, thinned down with water, and the new stain, new formula semi-transparent stain. That looks like it works pretty good. All right, let me clear some of this stuff out of the way here so we can talk about these and look at them. Okay, so as I'm talking, I will cut in some close-up shots of these so you can see what I'm talking about. But here we have the original formula, here we have the new formula semi-transparent, and here we have the new formula solid stain. There's a clear winner here. A clear winner. I mean, the new formula, or the old original formula looks like it always did. It looks fine. I did not put a second coat on there just because I was being lazy. But it still looks like it always does, the way I always expect it to look. And looks good. It was kind of a mixed bag with this one. And maybe it had something to do with the mixtures. I mean, maybe I didn't use quite enough water on the blue. I don't know. They both seem to have a very, very similar consistency after I mixed it. But the red came out pretty good. The red came out arguably looking slightly better than the original formula, maybe even. It came out really good. I would definitely use that and do that again. The blue, again, I think maybe I needed to thin it out a little bit more. It kind of gummed up and did what it normally does. Let me do a wipe on it and see what happens here. But I don't know. It's just of the 3, it's not the best looking blue. See if I can get it. You see that? How it's kind of ruddy and well, it looks like it went on a little thick and it kind of dried up. And yeah, it has a weird texture to it. And I tried to wipe some of it off and it didn't work. It works if you apply it the same way that I did last time. And again, They're both the same stain, so I'm surprised. I have to imagine that I didn't put enough water in it. Maybe we'll try it again in a minute. I tried adding a little more water to the semi-transparent blue, and it's pretty watery now. It's even more watery than the red was when I did it, and more than these other ones. But let's see if it made any difference. We're going to try it. I'm just doing it on the back side of the same board. It's not burned, but we still get an idea of what it's going to look like. First glance looks like it might be okay. Let's let it dry for a minute. I may have to put another coat on, but it's definitely better than it was the first time I did it. Okay, so I let this dry for a few minutes. It doesn't look bad. It definitely does not look as bad as the other side did. But you can tell that it's more watered down. The color is less pronounced. So this would definitely need a second coat if you're doing it this way. And again, maybe it's just a matter of finding the right balance to stain in water when you're thinning it. Again, I didn't, do any kind of empirical measurements or anything to make sure that these were, done in any specific ratio. But here I'm throwing another coat on it, and yeah, it looks good. It looks okay. I mean, I would use it like this for sure. It's just the extra work. You have to thin it down a little more than the red. Maybe put 2 coats on it, or figure out what your best water to stain ratio is. But it'll work. It's a little lighter than the other two, but that's probably because of the lack of burn on this side. I didn't burn both sides. But I think you can use any of these with the methods that we've shown here, and they'll all work. So fret not if you have a bunch of this. You can still use it. If you water it down a little bit, it'll work really, really well. Especially the red. The red looks fantastic. I mean, really, it's just as good as this one and this one. And the blue, after I put this second coat on, it looks good as well. But when I say there's a clear winner, there's a clear winner. The new formula stain looks amazing. One single coat, so you have to use half of it. Don't have to wipe it off. It looks fantastic. I mean, there's no doubt that from now on I will be using this one. I love it, and it's just as easy to apply as the original. I don't have to deal with mixing water with it. It's I'm really happy with that outcome there. So that is what I'll be using from now on. So the bottom line here is, if you have the old formula, use it. If you have to buy the new formula, in my staining video, I tell you how to get all these colors: the True Blue, the Scarlet, and the Marshmallow if you want it. But I would strongly suggest, based on this little experiment that we just did, that you go with the solid stain, solid color stain, as opposed to the semi-transparent stain. This will work. If you already have it, you can still use it. You can thin it down with water the way that we did here. And again, the red looks fantastic. And it'll work. It's just a little extra work because you have to thin it down. You have to find something to put it in. I mean, maybe when you get to a certain point, you can thin the whole can down. But, it takes a couple of extra steps. It'll take a little more time, but you can use it, so you don't have to throw $35 worth of stain away if you have these two and you want to use them before you go and buy more. Yeah, I got over $100 in stain cans right here. So, but man, I'm very impressed with the new one, the solid stain. It looks really good, and I wish I would have known that before I went and bought those, to be honest with you. But hopefully you're seeing this video before you do it, and now you know. Get this one. Get the solid color stain rather than the semi-transparent. It looks better. It works better. It's easier to apply. It's just as good as the original formula. Highly recommended by me. That's what I'll be using going forward. I'm glad I did this. In fact, I moved up the filming of this video because I need to stain a flag that I'm working on right now for a custom project, which you guys will eventually see in a video also. But I wasn't sure which one of these to use, and now there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be using that. All right, so, do all those things, like, subscribe. I hope this helped you in some way, and as always, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and happy woodworking. I'll see you next time.